Hello, everybody. This episode of Flamescast is sponsored by Skylight Frame. Skylight Frame is more than just a photo frame, it's a magical way to keep loved ones close no matter the distance. With Skylight, you can share the joy of a special moment, a silly snapshot, or a treasured memory instantly, making it the perfect present for anyone who values connection and family. There's no better way to put a smile on your loved one's face than to share a special photo, whether it's a glimpse of the kids being silly, a magical moment from the vacation, or a sentimental memory from years past. Skylight Frame brings your favorite memories to life right in your own home. It's easy to use, effortless setup, and instant sharing easily. With no app or subscription required and a quick 1 minute setup, Skylight is designed to be easy for all ages. Simply plug in the frame and you're ready to start sharing memories. It's interactive and engaging. The 10-inch color touchscreen allows for easy interaction, letting you pinch, crop, and zoom photos directly from the frame, creating a personalized experience. Skylight is great in a way that it also helps you create more of a private way to share photos without posting them to the world or having them print hard copies. Over 1 million happy customers are satisfied with Skylight Frames because it's a top-rated brand, thousands of 5-star reviews, and available in all 30 countries. Recommended by Today's Show, Forbes, New York Magazine, and more. So for a limited time, guys, get 20% off your purchase of Skylight Frame when you go to ca.skylightframe.com/hockey. That's right. Get 20% off of your Skylight Frame. Just go to ca.skylightframe.com/hockey. Yeah, 20% off Skylight Frame at ca.skylightframe.com/hockey. Let's go. Run the intro. And we are back. Episode 22. I'm going to lose track very quickly of it, but what's going on, everybody? It's a beautiful Monday, sort of middle of December-ish, getting closer and closer. The holidays. I couldn't be more thrilled about it. Another crappy day as usual, as winter kind of just woke up, slapped us in the face here, and said, "We're here." By the way, had to deal with all that fun stuff this weekend. Hope you guys haven't been able to deal with it on your end, but sometimes it just is what it is, but it's all good. Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty quiet, uneventful weekend. Didn't expect. I totally forgot there was a game last night, to be honest, too. I didn't realize it until probably halfway through the second period yesterday, where I'm like, oh, right, these guys are playing. Because I think they were off for a couple of days, and then all of a sudden, boom, they come out of nowhere and they're playing on a random Sunday night. But Flames are on a bit of a quick road trip. 2 games I think they're playing this week. So yeah, Dallas last night. We'll get into it, and then obviously we have Thursday coming up in Nashville. There's only a hand amount of games left before there's about of a week-long break in which they play on a Saturday, and then they'll play again until the following Saturday because Christmas, blah blah blah, all that fun stuff. But I think next week they play 4 of their next 6 games next week at home. So that should be exciting, but what's not exciting is what the hell happened last night. Let's get into it. So, for the most part, it was pretty competitive all the way up until the third period. Tied 2-2 heading into the third, and all of a sudden, as you see on the headline here, the Dallas Stars ended up scoring 4 straight in the third period as they take down the Flames by whopping 6-2. This was another game, though, in which the Flames outshot their opposing team still 31-28. But ultimately fell to the Dallas Stars last night. As mentioned here, too, as well. Harley ended up scoring twice as part of the 4-goal period and the 3rd goal period. The weird part about it, a minute in, bad turnover by, I can't remember who it was, but it was a terrible turnover. All of a sudden, you got a 2-on-1. Kadri passes to Huberdeau, and Huberdeau is the one that shoots and scores a minute into the game. Nobody expects it. And all of a sudden, Flames go up 1-0. A little bit later on, they're on the power play. Brutal giveaway by Rasmus Anderson and Kevin Ball, who had a terrible night, and we'll get into that a bit more. But why Johnson goes the other way. He gets one shorthanded. Robertson gets one there in the second. Zari ends up getting a bit of a garbage goal, I could say, maybe. But anyway, whatever pots one in. Him playing alongside Kuzmenko last night, I actually really liked that lineup. I thought it was working pretty well. And it's a competitive game. It's all good going into the third period. And all of a sudden, it was the odd man rushes that were just killing this team all of a sudden. And it was just, you're getting outclassed by a better team. And I mean, looking at the interviews last night from Huska, he goes, right after the game, he says, too many odd man rushes against a good hockey team is not a recipe for success. And I tend to agree with him on that. Like, I think a lot of people would. So, especially a good team like this where, they were just outpacing you, they were outworking you, and all of a sudden one thing led to another, and then the game just gets out of hand. I want to put some of the blame on Dustin Wolf last night. I thought he just looked – I thought he wasn't making I think it was on the fourth goal maybe yesterday where, he goes behind the net. He was hesitant to play the puck. He manages to get it around, but still loses the puck, doesn't get back to the net in time. And all of a sudden he's not tending the goal. And, that leads to be 4-2. And all of a sudden that's the game. Because I think Dallas ended up getting, oh no, they didn't even get an empty netter, which was the crazy part. So Harley gets too late as, you go look at the stats here too. Nothing says about this game. Like the penalty kill was great for the Flames last night. They were 0 for 3 on the power play. Stars were 0 for 4 on their power play. The Stars actually ended up giving the puck away more than the Flames did, as you can see, 22-13 there. It just came down to, take away the Wyatt Johnson shorthanded goal, and you strictly look at this third period where the Flames have been the best team in the NHL in the third period. And all of a sudden, these odd man rushes, all their bad turnovers and giveaways were all constructed into that third period. And that's just kind of how the wheels fell off, so to speak. So a couple of quick stats here and notes so that they've now allowed 17 goals in their last 3 road games alone. So they're now averaging 3.71 goals per game on the road this season. So they're almost giving up 4 goals a game on the road, which is not going to result in a lot of wins coming up. So that's also compared to the 2.21 goals against average at home this year. So, that's just something that they got to correct. And for whatever reason, this team has just not been playing well on the road. And you can talk about competition all that you want, but at the end of the day, they're just not the same team on the road as they are at home. It just seems to be that they're super comfortable playing at home when all of a sudden, it changes completely. And I think they have to right the wrong here coming up on Thursday. It's a good opportunity against a team that's still reeling at the bottom of the Western Conference and against Nashville, and they have to sort of find a way to get by it, right? But I think they were just kind of mentioning it where, it's silly mistakes that are leading this team to, falling behind so often on the road. I mean, it's the odd man rushes. It's, again, the penalties I thought was an issue last night because, even though you weren't giving Dallas a goal on the power play, you're still giving them 4 penalties throughout the game, which is something you have to kind of take away from. So I think that it's tough to find positives in a game in which, you lose 6-2 when in reality for the first 2 periods, it was a fairly competitive game. You're tied 2-2 going into the third period. It just so happened that it got away from you. And, you go ahead and look at the third period shots on goal. The Flames still outshot them 12-9. The problem was they scored 4 goals on 9 shots in the third period. So, I think that's going to be a night for a couple of guys to forget. More or less, I'm looking at Kevin Ball, who was a -5 last night. Not going to help. Rasmus Andersson didn't have his best night. He was a -4. Despite him having a good year, I'm not going to rake on these guys too much. I kind of put it a little bit on Dustin Wolf in that third period. I mean, Huska mentioned it too after the game where it's like they had really good stretches throughout this game where they were playing well. And, the first 2 periods, again, were fine. But you go into a tight third period in a tough environment in Dallas. And, you get probably Dustin Wolf's worst period even of all year. And, yeah, I have to hang that on Wolf a little bit, right? I'm not trying to rake on, again, I don't want to rake on these guys too much, but, at the end of the day, you're not even scoring more than 3 goals for I think they said 25th game in a row. 25th game in a row, sorry. I think it's been, 17 games now, give or take. I think that's what the stat was, where they haven't scored more than 3 goals. And it's been, if you're not counting overtime in a shootout, like that's an issue. In regulation, you have to find your goal scorer. Your goal scorers have to show up, right? And it's not that, I think it's getting put out of context a little bit where, you're not scoring more than 3 goals. A lot of the times, 3 goals could win you a game. If you play good defensively, that's going to win you a game a lot of the times, right? It's just on these rare occasions where, you need to find a 4th or you need to find a 5th, right? Like, that's just, I think this is just going to be something that we have to get used to all year, where you're not finding goal scorers on this team. I like the tie-up with Zari and Kuzmenko on their lineup the other day. Don't get me wrong. I like that. I thought they were playing a good game, but I just thought defensively and goaltending-wise, they really let it slip away from them in this third period, where this was a game they could have easily walked away from, even with a point. But again, I thought this was just a superior team in the sense that, there were a lot of younger guys with a lot more experience. They were faster. They were, beating guys to the puck. You go back to the basics, and they were just outworking this team. And seemingly they just wanted it more there in the third period, and it clearly showed. It's funny because it doesn't really showcase on the stat sheet all that much, right? The Flames outshot them. You take away that first period, you're still, after the first period, you're tied 1-1, despite the shots being 12-5 for Dallas. The Flames managed to outshoot them the rest of the game, right? The problem is all of a sudden you get 4 goals on 9 shots in the third period, which isn't going to help, right? Face-off percentage is fine. I didn't think it was an issue last night. The penalty kill was great. They're blocking shots. They out-hit the Stars last night. And the Stars ended up giving the puck more away, and both of them had a fair amount of takeaways. The problem with what happened in the third period is when you look at those 4 takeaways, that is probably more likely what happened with this team in the third period, hence why the Stars got ahead, because of even if it was just 4 takeaways, most of them probably came in that third period, and the Stars just took advantage of it. And they were easily able to set up in the offensive zone, and, they were able to screen Dustin Wolf really well, get him out of the net, get him uncomfortable a little bit, make him think twice. And it didn't take much for the Stars to capitalize here in the third period. So, that's what good teams do, man. They find ways to win in the third period, what the Flames have been doing all year. But, in this case, against a playoff team, let's be real here, they're just finding ways here in the third period to win these type of games and win them by a massive margin here. I mean, you look at the third period, right? Look at the amount of times, 5 minutes into the third, Hintz goes and scores. Okay, you're only down, it's 3-2. You're still in this game, right? What happened, all of a sudden, 8 minutes left in the game, you get 2 goals within a minute of each other, and that's going to do it, right? And then Harley gets a garbage goal. If you want to call it late in the game, then fine. But, I thought Sam Steele was just the one who really solidified it. And, you want to count the 2 goals at the end, fine. But I just thought this is a game the Flames still could have won. It's tough that, again, it's happening on the road, but you're going to rewrite a wrong, hopefully, coming to Thursday against, again, a Predators team that more than likely has not been playing well all year long. Excuse me. So, yeah, it's a tough way to look at that yesterday when you know that the team was in it, but that's gonna be a night where Ball's gonna want to forget about it. Anderson's gonna want to forget about it. I think Wolf's gonna want to forget about it, and I think everybody else in that team's gonna want to forget about it too, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, I actually have to look this up because I think I missed the news where Coronado, I think he was sent down, if I'm not mistaken. No, okay, I guess not. Never mind. I thought I read late that he got sent down for some reason, but anyway, that just wasn't the case. Considering they were injury riddled already because of Mantha being gone for the year, and then all of a sudden, with Kirkland and all that. But, okay, you find goals from Jonathan Huberdeau early on. You're getting your young guys again involved in Connor Zary, who scores again for you guys. Like, this is just something we're going to see from this team this year. They're going to struggle to score the rest of the way. This is just how it is. I think this is a large enough sample size from the start of the year where you can look at this team and go, man, your last, whatever, 13 of your last 17 games, give or take, you haven't scored more than 3 goals. And again, it's not about them, being able to, you've only scored 3 goals. Sometimes that wins you hockey games, and it's fine. But it's finding that 4th goal in the 3rd period. It's finding that 5th goal for the empty netter, whatever it may be. It's kind of like if they can get to 4 even, that still might win you some games this year, right? So anyway, they'll have a chance to rewrite it on Thursday. There's still lots of season left to be played here. I'm not liking what I'm seeing on the road from this team, and their record shows for it, right? These guys know it. They've been in these games. They've been competitive. It's not like they're getting completely blown out. And I don't even want to call it a blowout yesterday because you were so close and you were in the game all the way until the 3rd period. And you just let it slip away from you for the last 8 minutes. So you want to call it a blowout? Fine. But you look back at their road trip on that 4-game road trip that they were on, and you forget that they get blown out by Pittsburgh. They get blown out by the Blue Jackets, right? They kept it tight with the Red Wings. Like, there's a couple of instances where they got blown out, but for the most part on the road, they've had fairly competitive games, i.e. what happened again in Pittsburgh and Columbus, but that's here nor there. So, yeah, it's a tough way to look at it. You don't like it. I think Huska just said it perfectly yesterday where they just gave them too many odd man rushes, and all of a sudden – that's just the game for you right there. So it's certainly one they're going to want to forget about. I figure, it's this time of year again where I think we should probably take a look at some of the standings here and just see what last night did to them. Tonight, there's not a lot of Western teams playing tonight. So that's something that's okay. But something to take note of, guys. The Flames have now fallen out of a playoff spot for the first time all year. All of a sudden, they still have 1 game in hand. They still have to play 1 game less than Colorado. You're still 1 point back of Edmonton, who does have a game over you. And, Vancouver being there, LA for whatever reason, who I thought would fall off. They still have 2 games in hand on Calgary. They're at 35 points, but it's really starting to unravel a little bit for the Flames. So, minus 10 goal differential, not great, but it's slowly starting to get away from this team a little bit. And you're starting to see some separation here from a lot of these Western teams, right? I think that, again, like you have Seattle right there. You have a game in hand. You can still find a way back in this. But with a Nashville team who, if you look at their record here, like you have to take advantage of this on Thursday. They're a minus 27 goal differential. I think that's probably one of the worst in the league. So, you want to right the wrong. I think this is the time to do it on Thursday. And then you have a great homestand next week to kind of get back into it. So, again, like it's not the end of the world. I thought that the Kings would kind of fall off a little bit. I guess not, but there's still a lot of time to tell. The Avalanche are kind of finding their way back into it. Didn't really help that Dallas won last night to get them to 34 points. The Wild and the Jets were kind of on their own. So you're really starting to see what you're going to see between now and the beginning of the new year. There's going to be some separation, and you've got to find a way to stick with it, right? As long as the Flames don't completely fall out, then that's fine, right? And we'll allude to it again closer to when the playoffs are around the corner, and we'll see where this team is. But I'm going to bring up again the fact that this team cannot finish in the bottom 10 this year. Everybody hammering that this is Team Tank, and I saw it all again last night on social media that we're rooting for Team Tank here. It can't happen, guys. We talked about it with the draft picks recently. I'm not going to do it again until closer to, but we can't support Team Tank here. We just can't. We can't lose next year's draft pick because all of a sudden it hinges on next year. Anyway, I've already talked about it. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but whatever. You just have, this is still, it's still good progress to know that this team is still, they're 13, 10, and 5, right? You're technically still over 500 beginning of December. Nobody thought that, right? And you still have a good schedule here in December, especially with some games at home to right the wrong, right? So again, I think the crazy part is that you take care of business on the road, and it goes all the way back to the little road trip they had with Montreal, Boston, and Buffalo, and then the recent 4-game one they had when they lost all 4 of those games. We're talking a different story. This Flames team could easily be right there with the LA Kings up there. So again, what's important for them is to make sure that they're not falling too far out of it, right? You'll probably have important games coming up against Seattle. You're going to have important games coming up against Western teams that they have yet to play, right? They've had, they haven't played the Avalanche yet. Like, you look at who's around them. They haven't played the Avalanche yet. They still have to play, I think they have to play Seattle for a second time this year. They still have to play Utah again. They're going to get a chance against the Blues again, right? They still have yet to play San Jose, Anaheim. They played Chicago once this year. Like, there's going to be opportunities for this team to get the job done when the time comes, right? And we know that Craig Conroy is not going to give his hand, especially with all that Jacob Trouba crap that went on this past weekend, right? It's going to be key for this team to just stay with it, right? I don't care if they're in a playoffs or not, but just don't lose sight of what's ahead of you, right? Because they're still very much in the mix here, right? They just now, like, their competition really is going to be the teams that are just below them chasing them, right? We're talking the Seattles. We're talking Utah, who's still sticking around. We're talking St. Louis still. I don't think I want to throw in San Jose, but I think that's kind of where the line ends. So, again, it's not going to take much. I get it. But it's a long way to go still, right? It's something that we probably won't talk about again until the new year. It's not worth bringing up right now because they have to deal with their schedule here in December. And I think if they find a way out of December to still be over 500, then they're still talking. They're still in the conversation. And, there's still a lot of teams left. There's a lot of big games left for this team to find points. You got a lot of time left, still a long season to go. And I'm telling you, like, this team is not going to fold all year long. But doesn't help with a result like you did yesterday. So anyway, with that, we'll take a bit of a break here. We'll do some quick ads, and then we'll come back on the other side with more news and then wrap it up. So stick with us. As this episode of Flamescast is brought to you by DraftKings, sponsored by DraftKings. The 2024-25 NHL season still has that new car smell, and the action is heating up at DraftKings Sportsbook. An official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-time users to get started at DraftKings Sportsbook. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code THPN. Let's go THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Again, when you bet, just only $5. It's only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Also sponsored by Game Time. It's right around that year again where you have no friggin' idea what to get a loved one, a friend, a family member, and you're thinking, wait a minute, I love hockey. This person loves hockey. Why are we not going to a game together? Well, the best way to do it is to go through Game Time, ladies and gentlemen, as I will be doing again in February. I've been clamoring about it. It's fantastic. I can't wait. It was super easy to use for first-time users. Game Time included a new feature called Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They let you curate it to make it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. They have their all-in pricing feature, which also shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You can get a panoramic view of your seats in the app before you buy. You get the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. And the Game Time ticket coverage allows you to have the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. You can download the Game Time app now, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account, redeem code THPN for $20 off. You can download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. It wasn't game time for the Flames last night, FYI. All right, around the other side here, I'm not going to stay on too much longer for you guys here on today's episode. Already kind of looked at the standings a little bit. looking a little bit ahead to Thursday, we can kind of talk about maybe the lines that happened yesterday for this team. Again, I mentioned it with, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Connor Zary was on a line with Andrei Kuzmenko yesterday. But I thought I'd take a second I just wanted to bring it up because I think it was Derek Willis who brought it up yesterday for the lineups that they did have yesterday. And I wanted to cover it because there were some changes to it, and I wanted to address it. So mind you, again, this is from yesterday. This isn't what's happening coming up Thursday. This is just some of the pairings. Or I guess here it is. No, never mind. This is Derek Willis for today. The pairings at practice as they're in Nashville getting set for a game against the Predators. I believe, again, I think it's on Thursday if I'm not mistaken. But I thought it worked out really well yesterday. Kuzmenko there with Zary. I don't like Coleman on that line, and I swear to God, Peltier better play on that line because it's getting annoying, and I think Coleman should play on a line with Rooney and no Lomberg on this line. He might I think they were saying he's just got a little bit of time off from today. It's just probably optional for him, so he's just taking a bit of a rest day. Everybody else out there seemingly staying the same with Sharon Govich, Backlund, and Coronado, Huberdeau, and Kadri, who ended up getting a goal last night. Pospisil there too. Pospisil didn't have the greatest defensive performance yesterday. A little slow on the Jason Robertson goal, but overall he was still physical. I don't think he belongs on a line with Huberdeau and Kadri. I think they need to change that a little bit, but I like the fact that Kuzmenko sits for 2 games. He comes back in. I thought he had a good game yesterday. I like the fact that he's paired with Zary. I think you need that. But everybody's been clamoring for Peltier to be on that line. I think that's the one thing that they need. I'd love to see Peltier on a line with Connor Zary and Kuzmenko. I think that could be a special line to watch. And if it means that Huberdeau has to go on a line with Kadri and Coleman, great. I don't care. It is what it is, right? And Pospisil has to go down to the 4th line, or Coleman has to go down to play with Rooney and Dewar, fine. But I think there's something special if you play a lot of minutes here with Zary, with Peltier, and with Kuzmenko. I think they're missing something there, and I think that could be a missing key in order for the team to kind of ignite itself and get back into this. So they changed a little. I mean, Ball there with Anderson still again, Uyghur, Miromanov, Bean, and Pahal still in. My hope is that Wolf gets the start on Thursday. I don't think you want to, all of a sudden be like, wow, you sucked all of a sudden in the 3rd period. You're not playing Thursday. I kind of hope that they give him a chance here on Thursday. I think they need him in net on Thursday, despite it was still a good game all the way up until the 3rd period where a few bad decisions were made. But I still think Wolf deserves a start coming up this week. And then you can give Vladar a home game coming up. So I would not just yank it away. I think Wolf is going to give this team the best chance to win. And it's shown record-wise, goals against average-wise, save percentage-wise all year long. And I'm kind of hoping Wolf gets that redemption shot coming into this game against the Predators. So, yeah, I wish that they had Peltier with Zary and Kuzmenko. We might get our wish later on this year, but I think they need to find a spark. And I think that's something that this team can find, going into a game on Thursday, and I think which is probably a must-win for this team. They need to find a way to get back on track before they head home. They don't want to head home and all of a sudden you're losing 8 straight on the road with a little bit of pressure to go home and perform, right? I mean, it's a manageable schedule in December. It's not crazy, but I think this team can find its way back into it. We know that they can. We know they've done it before. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but it's all going to start with this game here in Nashville. So it'll be interesting. I got to look again because I keep thinking they play on Thursday. I feel like for some reason they're not, for whatever reason. When do they play? So they play tomorrow. Okay. So scratch all that. They're playing tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Oh my God. It doesn't feel like a friggin' Monday, but I guess it is. Okay. So they're playing tomorrow in Nashville, not Thursday. I'm an idiot. So apparently it's expected that Vladar will start against UC Saros. They'll play tomorrow night, and then they're going to play at home Thursday against the Lightning. We'll preview for that for you on Thursday. But okay, this team is in Nashville. They play tomorrow night. That's what it's going to look like. it's expected that Daniel Vladar is going to be the guy who gets the nod. We'll see what happens, but that's what the lineups are going to look like. It might change between now and tomorrow. We'll see if Longberg's a little bit more healthier going into tomorrow, but we'll kind of find out as the day goes along. So other than that, don't really have a lot for any news-worthy events. No Neil, as you guys saw today, not a huge deal, but Neil will be back with us on Thursday coming up. We're going to plan on getting maybe one more guest on before the holiday break coming up. We'll also talk about the schedule for the holiday break as well too when we come around to it. But other than that, it's just going to be another week, man. It's just been another busy week here at THPN, and we're excited, and I'm excited for the holidays coming up, so it should be good. But that's gonna wrap it up for today's episode. Pretty short one, pretty short and sweet, but we'll make sure to preview everything for you for the Tampa game on Thursday. We'll recap the game that happens tomorrow night against Nashville on Thursday as well, and we will get Neil back on Thursday as well. So hope everybody has a good week coming up. Thanks for kind of hanging around with me and listening to today's episode, and we will see you all again on Thursday. Later, guys.